Pearsall is still with me. She's a former Conservative government advisor, joining me throughout the show. We're going to take a bit of PMQs in about an hour's time, just a little bit. PMQs is a bit pointless, isn't it, on budget day? Everyone knows that. And then we will take some of the budget. We're going to dip in and out, mainly doing that because Rachel Reeves is a very, very, very dull speaker. It's a lot of gobbledygook numbers a lot of the time, and we'd rather have people... Oh, God, the coughing. Sorry, I knew the coughing and the sneezing. Well, I wouldn't get through an intro. Apologies, everybody. I've got whatever the latest lurg is. That we're going to have Justin Urquhart, Stuart in, and you here, and a Labour once was Labour representative, giving you tuppence worth. So we'll bring you the points that Rachel Reeves says, the crucial points, how it affects you, and the analysis, rather than letting her just drone on for an hour and us all sitting here going, "What on earth is going on?" Yes, which we thought was a rather more sensible way of doing it.
I think that's much nicer on people's ears. But I think that we're going to see death by 1,000 taxes, aren't we? This is the problem, is that she isn't going to make the really hard decision about increasing income tax for everybody equally. She's now choosing to chop and change and.
But you're saying that, like, this is how the debate gets framed. We need to increase taxes. We can't increase borrowing because the bond markets have a funny habit of saying, because they're all sexist pigs and they hate a woman chancellor. Apparently, they won't let her borrow anymore. No, because we can't afford to borrow anymore. But again, there's also tax cutting. Jeremy Hunt, not a man for whom I have any time at all, I have to say. Awful at all the jobs he's done. But Jeremy Hunt pointed out you could actually save 47 billion quid. We're told she's got a 40 billion black hole, 47 billion quid simply by returning welfare budget to pre-lockdown levels. Now, again, given the inflation rate we've had since then, I don't think you could save that much. That's not the case. But you could save a heck of a lot of money by doing that. And at the same time as saying, well, we've got no money, brackets, we've got no growth. She won't say that, but the Office of Budget Responsibility are expected to say that. But we're going to spend more money on feckless families who have a load of kids they can't afford. The 2-child benefit cap scrapped. 18,000 families who've got 6 kids or more are going to get an extra £14,000 a year. Your and my money. Seriously, if that doesn't stick in the craw.
Yes, but do you know what the government are going to do, just to counterbalance this, is they're going to set up a benefit fraud squad.
Brilliant.
Because we've not had that previously.
Yeah, I mean, again, because they're going to tackle all this. Again, I don't know why they're doing that, because they keep telling us, there's barely any benefit fraud. Well, again, apart... I mean, there's a huge... Ask anyone who works in it, there's a huge amount of benefit fraud, not just from people who are claiming, and most of that was going on during lockdown, people literally claiming to be people they weren't and putting money... Billions lost that way. But also, people who could work, or could work full-time when they're only working part-time, not working, that's fraud. That's fraud. That's what that is. That's what that is. We're basically told, look, she's going to go for workers. We're going to see the freeze on income tax and national insurance thresholds that's already there to 2028 rise to 2030. We're going to keep seeing that. That's going to raise 8 billion quid. A year ago, Rachel Reeves said this was picking the pockets of working people. And now she's going to, literally pick the pockets of working people. 1 million more people are going to be moved into 20% basic rate. So people earning, 13, 14 grand a year. Just over 12 grand a year. 800,000 more people are going to move from paying the basic rate of tax, 20%, to the higher rate, 40%. When the higher rate was originally brought in, as opposed to the top rate, 45%, when the higher rate was brought in, that was for people, that was the bank manager. That was probably head teachers didn't pay that. It was top earners. Now it's kind of like, in the South East, certainly, kind of middle income earners.
It is, and it's not so much picking the pockets, is it? It's sort of hitting you around the head and stealing your bag.
This is full-on street robbery.
It is, and they can't define what a working person is. I mean, that's half of the Labour government's problem. They don't want to hit working people. They don't really know what they are. And they don't want to upset their backbenchers. So we've got this sort of piecemeal budget, which has been leaked out. I feel like I've been talking about the budget for at least the last 4 or 5 weeks.
No, it's because we have been talking about the budget. I mean, again, she just led this incredibly long lead time. It's much later than usual.
Yes.
But basically, we were saying this is about jobs, but it's her job and Starmer's job. She ain't going to save her job. This is not this is not going to be the second of many budgets. She ain't going to keep her job, no matter what. It's not going to save anyone else's. I don't even think it's going to save Keir Starmer's job. He wants her as the fall guy, basically.
Yes, yes, he does.
And Labour MPs. I mean, you can all cheer on. Oh, isn't it great? We're helping all these families. By the way, largely immigrant heritage families having large numbers of children. That's the reality. One in four or one of five Pakistani and Bangladeshi families who have more than the two kids and therefore have larger families and therefore benefit the most from that two-child benefit cap being scrapped. I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure that that's what most voters who vote Labour are looking for. We know that more than 50% of Labour voters don't support that. Can we look at those pictures again? We showed them yesterday, earlier in the last hour. There's a picture which was put out yesterday. It's the usual sort of pre-budget picture with the Chancellor. And this picture is her with her budget documents, and she's writing on this piece of paper. She's got a chessboard next to her because she's a chess prodigy, apparently. I mean, again, all you play chess. That'd be more useful than you running the country, love. And she's got a mug. I love the fact this mug says Rachel Reeves on it, and presumably from accounts at the back. But again, why do you need a mug saying your full name? Does she not? I mean, she doesn't know it. She doesn't remember where she worked or for how long. Maybe she doesn't know her name.
Oh, that's it. That's what she's got, a sort of handy reminder right in front of her. Oh, that's who I am today.
I mean, genuinely, it's genuinely terrifying. Anyway, we're all being sexist. It's fascinating. Some of the stuff on social media, I can't quote a lot of them. They're quite rude about what she's really writing on that piece of paper. But then the Labour press office, they're highly paid communications, top-notch communicators. They decided to put out this picture. It's a picture of really, really happy Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, who look like long-lost sort of wartime sweethearts. Reunited. She's got her budget speech, and they're in the Downing Street corridor, and you can recognise it. And above it, the Labour Party have written "team" and then a red love heart. I have no words.
No, and me neither. And I hate it when you get these sort of cringy posts. And this one feels like it's a 15-year-old girl that's been in charge of putting the headline together. Yeah, and just thought it would be a lovely sort of, put a little love heart. I'd add glitter if it were me.
I mean,
so
why don't you put a unicorn
on
there? I mean, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, again, Rachel Reeves, first woman Chancellor, take me seriously. Well, your own party doesn't take you seriously, love. That's the main issue. And again, you'd never see a male Chancellor having that. You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't have that. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Embracing in a corridor. Yeah, exactly. With a male Chancellor.
It's quite bizarre. Look, it's not going to go down well with voters. The papers are ready to rip it apart. It's quite clear even the left-wing papers aren't that keen. She said to MPs earlier this week, this is all very progressive. I mean, minimum wage going up. Again, these numbers are astonishing, how much the minimum wage is going up. It's 6% for 16 to 17-year-olds, 8.5%. I mean, it's more than double the inflation rate for 18 to 20-year-olds. The living wage, so people who are 21 years and above, up by 4.1%. Again, higher than inflation right now. But now people on the left will go, this is really good, young people getting paid more. But the reality is, young people, particularly your average 16 or 17 or 18 or 19, with all due respect, aren't much use. No. I like to think I was at that time. I worked very hard, but we're not much use. We're getting experience. Also, you're students, or you're living at home with mum and dad. You haven't got rent to pay. You don't, and there's a reason why employers employ them, because they're cheaper. Even though they're maybe not as good as people who are a bit older. That's how you get your first sort of, your foot on the rung of the ladder. But the response to this from businesses will be, oh, you're going to cost me an extra £1,500 a year, then I'm not going to bother employing you. That's what we're going to have fewer jobs for young people.
We're going to have fewer jobs for younger people, and then the Labour Party are going to have to deal with a burgeoning unemployment system. But where are they going to make these changes? They want all of the young people to either be in education, employment or training. Yeah. There aren't enough college places, there aren't enough apprenticeships, and now there are not going to be enough jobs.
There are too many doing media studies, getting into 50 grand's worth of debt.
Well, yes, there are. And, that needs to be tackled at the same time. But where are you going to put them? If nobody's going to take them on because they are going to be an enormous cost, and employers are going to have to take that view, am I going to take on somebody with more experience or an expensive teenager?
And by the way, we had a report the other week of all these parents who apparently think it's perfectly OK to give their kid a day off because they just don't feel like it today to go to school. God. If you think your kid is... If you've done that with your kid ever, even on one occasion, unless it was if grandma's died, fair enough, right? Yes. Seriously. But, but if you've done that and I don't feel like going to school, you let your kid a day off school, trust me, your kid is not going to be a good employee, and no employer wants them. It's really that simple. I mean, I'm sorry, if no one else is going to tell you it straight, that's what Auntie Julia's for today. But we got, you know, they get the reason why a lot of Labour backbenchers are going to get like this is because, we're hitting the rich though, the mansion tax. 100,000 lucky people who've also probably worked really darn hard, who have homes worth more than £2 million are going to face an average surcharge of £4,500 effectively on their council tax. A lot of people are going to be really hoping that their home's worth 1.9 million, aren't they? And you think, well, these people must be massively rich. I mean, I'm sorry, some of these will be flats. Okay, yes. Some of these will be flats in the southeast. Property prices are insane in London, and again, it's probably not a bad way of getting money out of the wealthy. Because you can't hide your property, you can't go, oh no, I've moved it to Switzerland or the Cayman Islands. No, it's sitting there in West London or North London, wherever. I'm wondering whether the Prime Minister's home in Islington will be hit. I'd be surprised if a sort of a townhouse in Islington wasn't worth £2 million.
It's bound to be, but I think this is a risk of now hitting the housing market, because there's going to be downgrading of property prices going around all over the place. Everybody is going to want to come in at sort of 1.8, 1.9.
That's not bad. I think anything. Look, I think people who want to keep property prices high are crazy because they go, it's terrible, and my kid can't get on the housing market. Oh, really? What a surprise! You know, our house prices are mad. We need to do something about it. But again, we've got things like, you know, the tax-free cash ISA being cut from what your eligibility from 20k that you can put away without facing tax to 12k a year. We've got, you know, things like import duties are likely to be extended on those packages, largely coming from China, from Shein and other companies. If a package is worth less than 135 quid, then you don't get the import duty on it. But basically, that's going to put up prices for people. But again, cheap throwaway fashion. I don't think, frankly, we should be crying about that. I can live with that. A gambling tax. Again, there's a lot of people working in that industry. Milkshake tax, extending sugar tax to milky drinks because we can't trust adults to buy their drinks. Again, tourist tax, that's going to hit Brits as well as foreign tourists, but we're looking at a couple of quid a night.
I just think that
it's completely the norm in Europe.
It is.
You go and stay somewhere, you stay in Spain, you're paying a tourist tax.
Do you know what? The tourist tax thing, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I think that it will hit some industries, but it's up to the local authorities involved whether they accept to do it or not. They don't have to. They're not going to be made
I'm not sure people are going to go, I'm not going to go on a holiday to Cornwall, or I'm not going to go on a holiday to the Lake District because I'm going to have to pay £2 a night.
If you're
Mind you, if it's a family of four, and then you're then, exactly. So they've got tourist tax. We've also got a cut in the 5% VAT rate on energy to cut energy prices possibly on the table. Green levies possibly being moved to general taxation rather than on your bills to make your bills look cheaper, but actually, we're all paying for it more. Electric vehicle tax being taxed 3p per mile. Sorry, love that one. Oh no, people buy electric cars and then we have less fuel duty from people paying for petrol and diesel cars, and we have to make up the difference. Where do we get it from? Electric vehicles. I've been telling you this for the last 10 years. This is what's going to happen. Ha ha ha, more fool you. I'm sorry, I've got no sympathy there whatsoever. I've even gone through, I think, most of the big measures we're talking about. Do you think there's going to be some sort of rabbit from a hat?
I don't think so. I think this is it. I think we'd be very, very lucky to find any kind of rabbit whatsoever. But it's sort of a tax on fun, isn't it?
It is,
the way I look at it. If I choose to have a milky drink, that is entirely my business. I don't wish to be taxed more heavily. But we've got the most complicated tax code ever.
Yeah, we really do. We really do. It's a massive, massive issue, and I think it's the most complicated in the world.
23,000 pages. The UK tax code, and so many stupid things. It's things like marshmallows. There are 2 rates of VAT for marshmallows.
No.
Yeah, seriously. I've looked at this. It's a very sad individual.
I tell you what, cocoa round Claire Pearsall's place is really tasty.
It's a funny thing.
Again, it's all and again, it's like, well, I know I don't gamble. I don't drink sugary, milkshakey drinks in packets. What does it bother me? Well, I've learnt this to my cost, because they come to cigarettes, the vaping, the chocolate. They come for everything else. They're going to come for your chocolate or your wine or your beer next. They really are.
We don't know what's going to happen with booze as well, do we?
Yeah,
we don't know if that duty is going to go up.
Well, they reckon fuel duty and cost. But again, they're going to be freezing that. Howard Cox, brilliant campaigner on that. But again, it's just untenable for any Chancellor to raise that now, the cost of driving.
Oh, yeah.
And again, and that cost, it goes on everything that you buy. Doesn't matter if you go to the shops, doesn't matter if it's delivered, doesn't matter what it is, certainly it is going to be provided by someone who at some point is going to put it on a lorry or in a van.
Exactly.
And it's going to have to be paid for. Let's also talk about the farmers' protest outside Parliament. They're still protesting against inheritance tax, brought a load of tractors, even though they're told, no tractors, no agricultural vehicles. Some of them certainly have they've got no other vehicle to drive, and some of those vehicles have broken down, which is a bit of a shame. But a lot of people talking about two-tier policing once again. Met Police do apparently have powers to stop a load of protests, but they don't use them when it comes to stopping, large numbers of black hooded, black masked local Muslims in the East End with very, very, very aggressive shouting at the Palestinian marches, and indeed people outside North London Synagogue on Sunday, but they do use it against farmers.
Of course, they don't like the farmers coming in. I understand with traffic in London, but they have the right to protest just as much as anybody else. And I quite like to see a whole line of, John Deere and Massey Ferguson's parked up down Whitehall.
We don't really have a... I mean, there is an argument about, you need to be able to get electric. I can say, OK, if you say they can't be in Parliament Square, we need to be able to get emergency vehicles for you in the event of a terror attack. But yeah, there are other
places.
Funnily enough, farmers tend to be rather law-abiding people.
And they're really good at driving those
and also
tractors,
Whitehall is, as you say, very, very wide indeed. Let's also talk about end of trial by jury for all but the most serious crimes. David Lammy, once again, just talking absolute nonsense after saying only a few years ago when the Tories were looking at during lockdown, look, we can't get juries together. Let's scrap jury trials for loads of offences. No, this is fundamental to our democracy. Apparently not anymore. And these are some recommendations from Brian Levison, who did, of course, that big report into phone hacking. And he's basically looking at how to cut costs. He did talk about AI, using AI, and then ruled against that. Thank God. Did then talk about having a judge and two lay magistrates. Lammy's just going just for the judge, but also people facing a prison term of possibly 3 years or more. No, he's gone for 5 years. He's gone all out. Unless you're facing rape, murder, manslaughter, other really serious charges, then you don't get judged by a jury of your peers. You get judged by, basically a public school educated old white man who lives in a nice big house, probably getting a mansion tax bill in the next year. No, but the reality is we know, and who's probably highly politicised, because you don't get a job as a judge anymore.
No.
Unless you toe the line on all the DEI nonsense. I've got friends who are judges. I know this is what is going on. I mean, we've seen two-tier justice handed out again and again in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yes.
And we're basically saying, more of that, please.
It's just wrong. It is the fundamental right to have a jury trial and be judged by a jury of your peers.
Only in the Anglosphere.
Yeah.
I was really shocked to learn that. But that's because we've got better justice system.
Yes, we do, because we have a democratic system, and long may that continue. Otherwise, you may as well just stick people in a room with people like you and I, and we'll judge them. We'll get through it quickly.
Because the thing is, you do come with your different viewpoints. And I said, I haven't been on a jury a few years ago, and obviously I'm not allowed legally to talk about what happened in the jury room.
Yeah.
But I would just say, very different group of people different, different walks of life, different professions, different jobs, different groups, and it was really interesting. Okay, how much people cared about doing the right thing, the sense of responsibility we had that we could we could make someone innocent, or also someone guilty and possibly go to prison. I mean, that is incredible power to have. I mean, we're all very emotionally affected by that. I think you should be. It's a really important duty.
Absolutely.
But I think it's such a fundamental, and we've seen with cases again and again, over the Southport riots, the judges get it wrong, and sometimes juries get it wrong, but not as often as judges. They tend to be less biased.
Yeah.
And when there's a cause, when we talk about free speech issues and things like that, they really are on the right side of history.
And they debate it well, because as you say, people come at it from a different angle, and they may have views that you hadn't really thought of when it comes to the case. And I think that's really important that we have those people involved.
Yeah, exactly. And the cynicism. And again, juries do let off some people. Yeah, they do. Absolutely, they do. Because the reality is most people who get to court are guilty. I mean, that is statistically, that is the reality. I've spoken to lots of criminal barristers. I've said to you, roughly what percentage of your cases are actually involve innocent people? 0.1%. I would just let you know, if you're watching the pictures, we've got to the Chancellor. She has just left Downing Street. She's with her Treasury team. There are 7 of them. She's got her big red box. She's very interesting. They're all in dark suits. She's in a navy suit with a white shirt. I feel the need to comment on that. I shouldn't really, but it's probably misogynistic. they all stand for this ridiculous photograph of her with the budget box, and she's looking very pleased with herself and very happy, and I'm sure she is, because she must know in her heart of hearts this is her last chance saloon budget. This is it. But they're posing for their pictures right now. In fact, she looks like a barrister, doesn't she?
She does. She does. She's got the double-breasted suits jacket. That's a new
maybe
look,
I'd rather like that. I mean, let's be girly for a moment. I'd rather like. Well done, Rachel.
That's why
well done, Rachel.
I quite like the fashion choice today.
Absolutely. And now they're going to do a picture of just her. But have fun. It's going to be your last chance saloon, though, Rachel, because this is your last budget. But again, that's because I'm sexist. 11:26 is the time. Love to hear your thoughts. Question to you: what is your biggest fear about today's budget? Feel free to call in about